turn it over to you, Jack.
Thanks, Jesse. So again, welcome everyone to this Elevate Student Town Hall. And I just want to give you a quick overview of the agenda. We'll start off with a message from Provost Rice. I will walk you through the Elevate program, a little bit about its context and history and our goals. I'll highlight what we've accomplished so far from spring and summer of this year, and then I'll also talk about what's coming up. I'll summarize how we've been engaging with the campus, with subject matter experts and our partnerships, what's happening both this semester and what's on the horizon going into next semester. And then at the end, we'll talk about how to continue to stay engaged with us and informed. And we'll also have time, as Jesse noted, to answer some questions that have come in from the Q&A. So with that, I'm very happy to turn this over to Provost Rice.
Terrific. Thank you, Jack, and thanks for the introduction and the overview. Thanks also for, most importantly, for your steadfast leadership of the Elevate program. This is a tremendously large and complicated project, and your leadership has been so critical. So I just want to start by saying good morning and welcoming you all, thanking you for taking the time out of your day to join this town hall. It is really wonderful to see so many people across our community coming together around it and working so hard on a project that touches so much of what we all do every day. So really, truly, thank you for the time and energy that you're all investing in this very important campus-wide work. As many of you know, the university launched the Elevate Student Program earlier this year with the goal of modernizing our systems to support our academic enterprise, and most importantly, to support our students and the experience that they're having on our campus. This effort is the next major step in our broader transformation, one that began last November with the launch of Workday Finance and Workday HR. And now as we embark on Workday Student, we're building on that foundation, and we're turning our attention to really the heart of our mission as a university, teaching and learning and the student experience. I think we all know that this is not simply a technology upgrade. It's really about reimagining how we're serving our students, making it easier for them to plan their courses, to track their progress, and to connect with the people and the resources that will help them thrive and succeed on our campus. The new system will provide significant improvements over what we have now: 24/7 access, mobile-friendly tools, and more integrated data so that our students at the University of Maryland can better manage their academic journey with confidence and success. It'll also help not only our students, but our faculty and staff. Advisors, for instance, will have better insights to be able to guide students to successfully complete their programs. Faculty and staff will have better tools to manage courses and grading and student records. And all of us will benefit from a more connected and responsive system that reflects the excellence of our university, but also accounts for the complexity of our university and the work that we do. We need a system that reflects that complexity. Given the comprehensiveness of this enterprise system that we're implementing, this work has been deeply collaborative from the very beginning. More than 175 subject matter experts from 33 units, including all of our schools and colleges, have already lent their expertise to the design and the development process. Their feedback has been critical, helping to make meaningful improvements that will ultimately have a real impact on our students and on their experience at the University of Maryland. So I do want to take a moment to thank every person who has contributed their time, their energy, and their insights to this work. I think we all know that projects like Elevate Student require a great deal of patience, collaboration, and adaptability, and they embody our shared commitment to continuous improvement. So your partnership, your investment in this work is what makes this kind of transformation possible. Change at this scale is never simple. This project is complicated, but this kind of change is essential if we are committed to delivering the high quality, student-centered experience that defines our work at the University of Maryland. So I just want to end by thanking you all once again for your dedication to this important effort, and I very much look forward to the progress ahead. And now I'll turn it back to Jack, who will share more about what's to come. Jack?
Thank you so much, Provost Rice. And I'm going to walk you through an overview of the program. Some of you may have seen this before, but given the size of our community and students being involved, I want to be sure to recap a little bit about what we're trying to accomplish. And the problem that we're trying to fix is that our enterprise resource planning system really can no longer meet the complex needs of a flagship research university. And that led us back in 2019 to really start planning for modernizing our systems in a way that Provost Rice mentioned. And last November, we all woke up and we were using Workday for human resources and for financial. And that really serves now as the foundation to allow us to pivot and focus on this student element. And that's really what phase we're in now, is preparing to modernize our student systems. What do I mean by modernizing? Well, there are elements of our student information system that are based on COBOL. COBOL is a programming language from the Eisenhower era. It is so out of date that our students in computer sciences don't learn this anymore. That creates problems. It creates problems in terms of maintaining the system. It creates problems in terms of trying to improve the system. It is reached the end of its life, and we need to modernize, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. And Workday is the platform that was selected back in 2019, 2020, and ultimately we went live with HCM and Finance. It is transforming the way we do business, and it will continue to support now what we're doing with our student systems. All of this has benefits in terms of a single integrated platform, data that can now be a single source of truth. For students especially, being able to access this with a mobile app, do the work that they need to do with registering for courses, paying bills, all through a mobile app. So lots of benefits are coming from being on a modern system. As Provost Rice noted, this is a daunting undertaking. And for many reasons, that's why schools often put this off for a number of years, but we're not alone. A lot of other large school systems, many Research One universities like ours, have reached that point where they too have had to modernize their systems, and they too have selected Workday. And so I've just listed some of the 95 schools that are now using Workday Student. These are some of the larger ones. University of British Columbia, University of Arkansas system have over 70,000 students. Louisiana State is also a multi-campus institution, and they have over 40,000 students. A peer institution of ours in the sense that it's also a land-grant university, an R1 institution with comparable students, went live not too long ago with student at Iowa State. So all of these programs are showing that people can make this transition successfully. And we are learning from our peers. We are benefiting from their wisdom, their lived experience, and we've been consulting with several of these schools. For example, Arkansas, Louisiana State, Iowa State, WashU we've spoken to. As we talk about Workday updating our systems and replacing our systems, I do want to clarify that Workday will replace many of our systems, and those are listed to the left in this screen. Those systems, this Testudo student portal, advice on the web, UMeg, UAchieve, systems that people might be familiar with, those will ultimately be replaced because that functionality will go to Workday. But then there are systems that are not being replaced by Workday, and they will continue to support certain functions. So for example, TERP Engage, Canvas, et cetera. Those will have integrations built to Workday so that data can be shared. So just wanted to emphasize the nuance of systems that are being replaced. As we move forward, starting back in 2019, we adopted goals for all of our decisions, what guides us. And the first one is providing a positive user experience for our students, for our staff, for our faculty. We want the university to be more efficient and effective. And of course, we want the university to be able to accurately collect, report, and analyze data. That allows us to inform decisions based on the data. And we want to ensure data security and privacy for all of us. And we want these systems to be reliable, and we want them to be maintained and updated on a regular basis. All of this we are going to get with Workday. And we benefit from the leadership that has been supporting this project for years now. Provost Rice, of course, Patty Perillo, the VP for Student Affairs, Jeff Hollingsworth, VP and Chief Information Officer, and Greg Oler, VP for Finance and Chief Financial Officer. All of these senior leadership positions are informing and guiding us to make sure that we are making decisions that are in alignment with the university goals. That is further supported by an executive steering committee. This is a large group. I'm not going to go through and read all of our names, but this group represents the registrar's office, undergraduate dean, graduate dean. It pulls in expertise from a variety of perspectives to again make sure that we have leadership relevant to the domains that are being impacted by the student implementation, that they're at the table and they're helping guide this to a successful completion. And I'll talk more about the criticality of other individuals being involved. I want to highlight some of the things that we've accomplished since last March, moving through the summer. And to do that, I want to walk you through at a high level this calendar of the student implementation. And on the upper left, this is really where we started the student implementation in 2023. There was a lot of groundwork that we had to do in terms of getting inventory of our systems, understanding what systems we have and how they're communicating with one another. We established governance. And as you scroll down on the left, architect and configure is the phase that we're in now. This is where we are understanding our current processes. We are designing new processes and configuring those in Workday. And then if you look to the middle of the screen, that gold star, you are here, you see 5 markers there. WS simply refers to a work set. And we group the work that we have to do in designing these processes in these 5 buckets, if you will. And so work set A, we began that last March, concluded in July. We transitioned to work set B. That's what we're in the middle of, and I'm going to talk some about what's going to be going on there. That will run to the end of this fall semester, and then we'll transition to work set C. Those first 3 work sets really are a heavy lift. By the time we get to next May, about 90% of the operational processes, 220 of these that we are designing, we will have been completed in terms of their design and configuration. And that will go on until early 2027. This is a multi-year process. And then I want to draw your attention to the lower right hand of the screen. You see 5 markers there. And this is where we have a difference between going live on student Workday and what happened last fall when we went live for Workday on HR, human resources, and finance. November 15th of last year, those people who use those systems woke up and we're just using Workday for all of that. Because of the complexity of student and the scope of student, we roll out in a series of deliveries functionality in Workday, and we build on each piece that preceded it. So in the summer of 2027, you see that first marker, and that will involve admissions integrations. We move into the fall, and then early 2028, we have another marker there, and you can look at the bottom of the screen where that's involving academic advising and student registration for the fall. That's where a lot of students will start getting engaged with Workday. But by the time we get to fall of 2028, you have that 5th marker. That's where we will all finally be on Workday and fully live for the functionality that's going to be delivered in Workday. So I just want to highlight what we've accomplished in that first work set, starting in March and running through July. You see a number of topics here, and I'm going to unpack some of these and show you how we are benefiting from this transition to Workday and how we're making design decisions that are consistent with the guidelines that I summarized before, trying to improve the user experience, for example, for students. So the first one has to do with prerequisites. In our current system, we cannot enforce prerequisites. And so what that means is that a student could start building their schedule for next semester, find a course that they think that they can take, and they register for it. But it turns out that maybe they needed a prerequisite, and they were confused about that when they first registered. Well, what happens in the current system is that days later, you can have a staff member behind the scenes manually reviewing those course registrations. And it might be determined that, oops, that student doesn't have a prerequisite. They get pulled out of that class. That student now has to scramble to replace that class and try to create their full schedule. That creates a burden in two places, one on the student and then the staff who behind the scenes are trying to sift through these registrations. In Workday, we will be able to enforce these prerequisites. So a student will know when they try to register for a course that, oops, you can't do that. You don't have the prerequisite required. This required us to review 6,100 catalog level prerequisites and restrictions. So this is where we turn to, and I'll talk to you more about this, our subject matter experts in departments, in programs, and ask them, do you want these to be enforced within Workday? And this all is a win for saving time for students and saving time for staff and avoiding the kind of frustrations I just outlined. Another benefit that we're going to have in Workday doesn't sound very exciting, but it's important. It has to do with course numbers. Right now, we're limited to 3 digits. It doesn't sound like that should be a problem, but we have over 30,000 courses and we continue to grow as a university, and we will approach a limit in terms of our ability to number courses using those 3 digits. So in anticipation of our future needs, we've sought and received approval, and Workday will be able to accommodate moving to 4 digits. We've done this early so that we're years out, and we'll be able to keep everyone informed about how this is going to work in Workday. But again, the benefit is that it is taking care of a future need using our modernized system when we go into Workday. Another win in terms of the work that we've been doing in that first work set that I was describing is transparency when it comes to financial information. And here we have student billing. In the current state, we are limited in terms of the number of characters that are displayed. In Workday, we won't have that limitation. What does that mean? It means that when a student looks at their bill, it will be very clear to them what they're being billed for. Beyond billing, we're going to have clear information when it comes to things like financial aid that'll all be displayed for a student, and the next steps a student needs to take, for example, when it comes to financial aid. So all of this is greater transparency, better use from the student's perspective, and easing the confusion. Another benefit is the information that students will be able to control and personalize within Workday. So this is from a student's perspective. They can choose to have their preferred name listed. They can choose to indicate the appropriate pronunciation of their name. And they can also choose if they want to list any pronouns in their student profile. Again, giving students control over their personal information and how it's displayed in the system. So we think that's also a benefit. All of this work that I've been talking about, like reviewing 6,000 courses, is only made possible with the engagement of subject matter experts. These are folks who are in the trenches, so to speak. They are working day to day in academic affairs in a college, in a department, in a program. They understand those programs' needs and requirements. They understand their students. And those 175 subject matter experts from across the campus are working with us, making sure that the early decisions that we're making now are the right decisions, and building that foundation as we move through each of these work sets that I laid out for you on that calendar. What you see displayed before you in detail is the Division of Academic Affairs. We have 150 of those 175 subject matter experts representing each of these colleges, schools. They are helping to guide us and making sure that we're doing this right. And again, as Provost Rice noted, lots of gratitude towards the effort that's going into this. These subject matter experts helped us and continue to help us and will continue in the future. And they've addressed a number of issues that you see here, that course prerequisite enforcement that I talked about, managing academic requirements, academic planning. All of this is being informed by detailed conversations with subject matter experts. And this takes time and effort. All of these subject matter experts have been involved in over 500 hours of meetings across 33 units, all of our schools and colleges, or 295 sessions. But all of this front-loaded work is intended to ensure that we're getting this right, that we understand the local needs, and that's getting baked in early to our configuration decisions. So again, as Provost Rice noted, gratitude, thanks to all of these individuals and all of their teams that continue to partner with us and will continue to do so throughout this project. Now, we have lots of stakeholder groups that we want to be sure that we're engaging. And in addition to these subject matter experts, we also have developed advisory committees. And these advisory committees are intended for us to, on the left you see there, get a faculty perspective, whether that's a faculty member from an instruction perspective or an administrative role, graduate and undergraduate. And then on the right, student advisory perspective, both undergraduate and graduate. So focusing on the faculty advisory committee, we had our first meeting this last summer. We just had a session in October, and we're going to have our next session in November. And what we're doing here, as we're going to do with the student advisory committee, is sharing information like I'm doing with you today. What are we doing? What are we accomplishing? Where's the program at? But we're also asking for feedback and input. So we might show faculty a dashboard of information. Is this format, is this information what you need? Is there something else that we need to take into consideration? So those meetings are really important for us. And Student Advisory Committee, we are leveraging existing student advisory committees with the Provost's office, with Student Affairs and others. We have over 150 students identified, graduate and undergraduate, and we're working on coordinating our initial meetings that will start next spring. And both of these advisory groups will have a cadence of about 2 meetings a semester, and they will go through spring of 2027. So I talked about what we've been doing since the spring and summer. Just to highlight briefly, I'm not going to unpack each of these little panels, but just to unpack a little bit what we're going to be doing through the end of this semester. This is work set B from that calendar I showed you. We're going to be dealing with admissions and academic foundation, transfer, planning and advising tools, registration, student financials, financial aid, the graduate student experience. These are all topics that are in this phase that we'll be addressing with our subject matter experts and seeking to complete these pretty soon here. We're approaching November, and this is to be done by the end of the academic year, academic semester rather. And as we move into the new year, we'll move to that work set C that you saw on the calendar and covering all of these topics. Again, once we get through work set C next May, we've done a lot. 90% of those 220 operational processes that we have to design, configure, test, that's going to be accomplished by May. So again, we're only able to do this with all the contributions of our subject matter experts and collaborations across campus. So that's really the meat of what I had planned to get through today. I do want to remind everyone, if you don't know this already, that we have a website, elevate.umd.edu. This previously supported the HR and finance implementation for Workday that went live last fall. It's now been repurposed for where we are now with student implementation. So if any of your teammates, folks, have questions about the Elevate program, if you want an update after this town hall meeting, go to this place and you have frequently asked questions, a student glossary of terms. There's a learning hub. We archive all of our videos like this town hall. We will also have a newsletter available on that website. That newsletter covers both HR and finance, but it has a special section and links that you can go right to student information. You can subscribe to the newsletter if you'd like, and you can also submit an email if you have any questions about where we are, what's going on. The whole point of this is to be sure that you don't have to hunt and peck. We're all familiar with that on our campus of trying to find information with different websites. Elevate.umd.edu is intended to solve that issue and allow you to efficiently go to one place. And this is really where we're going to transition to opportunities for question and answer. If we can't get to all these questions, they've been capturing questions that have been coming in the Q&A. We'll respond to those as we can. I also want to note that our goal is to wrap up this session no later than about 10 minutes to the hour to give folks time to go to lunch, go to a meeting, or their next class. But I'll stop there and I'll check in with Jesse and see where we want to begin.
Great, thank you, Jack. We've received a couple of good questions that would be ideal to answer in this live setting. And the first is, what date will Workday be fully implemented? And is that also when we will lose access to systems like SIS, Advise on the Web, Testudo, and UAchieve?
Okay. So first, that calendar I showed you, we have those 5 go lives, but if the question is when we will be fully implemented, that's going to be fall of 2028. But access will begin to Workday, as I noted, much earlier through that phased rollout, starting in summer of 2027, where some folks will have access to some admissions and integration, but it will really be spring of 2028, where we will start to see faculty and students involved in Workday for advising and registration for that upcoming fall of 2028 semester. And then by fall of 2028, all core student-related activities will be live in Workday Student, and SIS and AOW, Advise on the Web, Testudo, and UAchieve. After we go live on Workday, those systems will be retired and we'll be done with those. So I hope that answers the question about timing, but fully live fall of 2028.
Thank you. This next question is a close follow-up. You just talked about timeline. How confident are you that we will be on time?
That is a good question. And I'm confident. And that confidence is earned, and that confidence is continually reviewed. And we are confident in where we are in terms of staying on schedule for a variety of reasons. The first one I would list is really our leadership. Every school that we've talked to who's gone through this emphasize that the commitment and support of senior leadership is absolutely critical to their success. And we have that. The provost, all the other folks I listed, like Jeff Hollingsworth, Greg Wohler, and others, they have been steadfast in their support and their commitment. They understand the importance of this, and that drives everything else. We have a team that has the resources necessary to be successful. We're working with an implementation partner that's worked with other schools, including Iowa State. And we are working in a very disciplined way. That calendar I showed you, I could break that out even further in terms of those work sets, deadlines, deliverables. And the team is extraordinarily disciplined about staying on that schedule and constantly reviewing for leadership. Where are we? Are we on schedule? Is something falling behind? If it's falling behind, how do we correct that? Because we appreciate that we need to be able to achieve that first go live in summer of 2027. And so that timeline was developed looking at all the realistic challenges that come with this. That's why it's a multi-year effort. We added time as we learn more about this process. And remaining on schedule will require all of us to work together. And again, I want to acknowledge those subject matter experts. They are being asked to do things that have a deadline. And sometimes there are challenging turnarounds, and they're delivering and they're working with us. So that level of collaboration is really critical as well. So I remain confident. We continually reevaluate this internally, and we're always answering to leadership from President Pines to the provost about where are we, any problems, how are we solving those problems. So that will continue to be something that we're vigilant about. And I think that's my answer.
Excellent. Thank you. Shifting gears a little bit, you spoke towards the end about the faculty and student advisory committees. Specifically, can you also talk about how staff are being engaged throughout the project?
Yeah, staff are critical. That's the work of the subject matter experts. Subject matter experts are typically staff who are, they are in the programs, they are in the departments, in the colleges, in the schools. They understand the unique requirements of their student populations, of their programs. Those are the people who are being called in, and those are the people who have been in 295 sessions that I mentioned, over 570 hours of work. So they're at the table with us. We are getting not just their perspective, but their expertise and information about how we do this in Workday and making sure that we get this right. They'll continue to work with us through spring of 2027, March 2027. The advisory committees with faculty and students will also continue to work with us in making sure that we have partnership there and that they're going to be complementing all the information that we're getting from our subject matter experts to understand the faculty and student perspective, which may be different from that staff perspective. So we're trying to get all of these stakeholders to give us input and guide what we're doing. So at the end of the day, we're delivering on one of our goals, and that is to provide a positive user experience once folks start using Workday for Student.
Great, thank you. Another portion of the earlier presentation that I'd like to drill into a bit more is around peer collaboration and what we've learned from some of our peer institutions who've already navigated the complexity of a large implementation like this. So what have we learned with more specificity from some of our peers?
We've learned a lot, and I have to acknowledge that this community of universities who are working to a similar goal and have gone live on Workday is incredibly collaborative, supportive. They pay it forward. So each school that is going live helps those schools behind them, so to speak, who are getting ready to implement Workday. And we've been in close touch with them. So Iowa State University went live and they're using Student, and they're very similar to us. Over 30,000 students, a land-grant R1 institution. We have been in touch with them for several years now, sometimes over Zoom conference calls, sometimes we'll see them at a conference. And we actually had our team go out to Iowa to visit them and spend an entire day engaged with their teams, technical teams, registrar's office, to understand how they were successful, to understand what challenges they encountered, and really benefited from them in hearing about the recommendations they had and the wisdom that they had to share with us. We've also been talking to other schools. The University of Arkansas system has 14 different institutions who are on Workday with over 70,000 students. And we've also spoken to key personnel on that project. And that's a good example of if Workday can handle the needs of a 14 campus entity with over 70,000 students, about its ability to handle the complexity even of our university. Some of the highlights that we've taken from all of these engagements, and there are other schools I haven't mentioned. One is keeping people informed, like we're doing today, like the website that we have, like these different groups that we have, my meetings with separate colleges and schools on a regular basis, keeping people informed throughout the project, helping them to understand where we are, where we're going, what decisions are being made. That kind of what's called change management communication is critical. And we've tried to do that going back to 2019. Leadership engagement, that's another lesson learned that I've mentioned already. Absolutely critical to have senior leadership who are engaged, informed, and ultimately support this process. These undertakings are multi-year, incredibly large with regard to the resources, the staffing that's involved. And to be successful, you need leadership who are standing behind that and supporting it through whatever challenges may come its way. We had leadership helping us. We started this implementation for HR and finance in 2020. So we had the whole COVID situation. We were doing things remote, and we started implementing 2020 preparing, and then 2021 starting in earnest. There will be challenges, and having that leadership is absolutely critical. So we're fortunate to have that. Another lesson learned is agility. Being able to face challenges, being able to face unexpected issues, whether it is something going on in the broader world or some technical issue, something that wasn't expected, and being able to problem solve and navigate through that. Another big issue is what's called data validation and testing. So we're taking all of these tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of records from students and converting all of these data to Workday, and data validation, checking the accuracy of those data over and over again, making sure that the data that are coming into Workday are accurate, that's critical. We've been doing that. We'll continue to do that. And then testing, rigorously testing on a regular basis, starting out small with unit testing, making sure that those configurations that we made in Workday actually perform the way intended. And then ultimately we'll be doing what's called end-to-end testing, running through the full cycle to be sure that this is working, so that when we have that first go live, you don't wait until the first go live to find out if something works. We've done months and months of testing long before that to confirm that these designs are working for us. So lots of challenges, but we are being informed by other schools and their experiences. And I think we have a lot of the qualities that people tell us are needed to be successful here at the University of Maryland. So I'll stop there.
Great, thank you. And the end of that answer is actually a perfect segue to the next question, which is more forward-looking to that round of testing that will be coming up. And the question is, who will be involved and what will testing look like?
Right. Yes, that's a good question, because as I noted, testing is so critical. We will have multiple rounds of testing with increasing participation. So the audience, if you will start to broaden out. During design, that's where we are now through March of 2027, testing will mostly be conducted by project team members and those subject matter experts that I've been talking about, who've been participating in those design sessions. So lots of testing internally as we go through that, but testing with people who are using the design ultimately. And then starting in January of 2027 through December We will start to, the project team members and subject matter experts will broaden that testing from individual activities to what I refer to as end-to-end activities. So it's one thing to look at something in an isolated way, but now if you connect all of these processes together end to end, how does that work? Can we see registration happening and a bill come in and payment happening? Is all that tied together in a way end to end where it's working seamlessly as intended? So that will really be a lot going on in 2027. And then our final round of testing is what's called a mock semester. And this is a good example of that broadening audience, where now we invite students, staff, faculty, people in different roles here on campus to come in and be able to log into Workday, and we have data in there and they can practice a particular task. Can students enroll in a course? Can they register? Can faculty do things that they need to do? That mock semester will have hundreds of people involved outside of the team. And this is an opportunity for us to start to introduce to the broader community what Workday will bring, but it's also an opportunity for us to do that last kind of shakeout of, okay, we're confident, we've done the testing, now let real world experiences from students, from staff, from faculty inform us and confirm for us that this is performing the way we expected so that we're ready to go. I think I've answered your question. And I just want to do a time check. I see we're at a quarter till at this point.
Yes, so time for one or two more questions.
Sure.
The next one is also forward-looking, and it has to do with training. Can you share any more details about what that will look like or when those additional details will be available?
Yeah, so first, I want to emphasize that we are developing training. So it's not as though we have a package on the shelf and I can give you all the details of it. So that is under development, but I can give you a broad answer to the question. The first thing I want to acknowledge is that we've done this on this campus for the first time in many of our professional careers. We've done this enterprise training when we went live last fall with HR and finance. And the feedback I've gotten is that there are things that we could have done better. And there are lessons learned from that experience. And we've heard it. We understand what the limitations were. We understand users had particular preferences with how we delivered that prior training. So we're leveraging that internal experience from last year, and we're using that to develop the training that will ultimately be delivered for students. And so we will definitely take those lessons learned to provide improved training and improved experience and preparation for all of our stakeholders. But formal training will be provided in different ways. Some of it asynchronous, so someone might be able to go log in and watch a video or some other recording. They may be able to access some kind of written information to support their training. And then we'll also do synchronous presentations. So we might do a live in person, we might do something over Zoom so that there can be more interactive face-to-face, if you will, training. So there's going to be a blend of that. And that is intended to, again, address some of the things that we heard from last round of training, that there's certainly a preference in some instances for some kind of in-person experience, even if it is over Zoom, to have it live. Training will be role-based. And what do I mean by role-based? A student has a particular role. They're a student. If they're a GA, they may have a different role because now they're accessing things that involve teaching, or they may be in the finance system because they're being paid for their role in a lab. A faculty member may have an instructor role, another faculty member may have an administrative role that they have as well. So depending on the roles that people have, what they do in the system, we will have training that's developed for that particular person, the things that they do in the system, so it's tailored for them. We'll also be developing quick start guides And again, we've taken the feedback that we've gotten from our prior training experience with Workday to improve those. But this will be a way for those people who just want a quick guide. Maybe they did the training, they don't remember it. They just want some quick prompts about how to navigate through a particular task. Those will be developed as well. And we'll be doing that again from different perspectives. It could be a faculty member as an instructor or administrator. It could be a staff member. It could be a graduate student or an undergraduate student, making sure that those guides support those individual needs and unique roles that those people have. So we'll have those quick start guides, step-by-step processes, on-demand videos. All of that will be available, and we will be developing those as we move forward. And we'll have more information that we'll be able to share as we go forward. But that will begin, just to give you a time frame, in summer of 2027. So we have some time for development. We have some time for sharing out information, and we'll be sure to keep you posted on where we're at with that.
Great, thank you. With that, I see we're almost at the end of our time together, so maybe we just close by making sure folks know how to stay informed.
Right, and you can stay connected and informed with that website that I mentioned, elevate.umd.edu. That is your one-stop shop, and we'll continue to update that, including a link to this recording of this town hall. I want to thank everyone for the time you've taken to join us today. I want to thank all of you who've been involved as subject matter experts or will have a role in the future. This is only made possible with your generous contributions and help. So appreciate that greatly. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day.